So, and usually the helmet is what gets you over your head. And why do I say that? I say that because without the helmet, you don't really have much else to do other than landing. So you have less of a tendency to want to drift away in this direction or chase somebody or look in this direction or the other because you're not shooting. But when you got a toy on your head, oh, you want to go and shoot this and you want to go shoot that. And that really just becomes a bit of a, let's say what drives what you're going to do next. And you want to make sure you're keeping in mind whether that's a good idea or not, whether it's a good idea to go chase something or you're actually looking for trouble. And what better way to know that than being comfortable with it so you can actually evaluate the situation and see if it's something to do or not. So that's sort of on the safety and survival side of it. And the other thing is when filming it, it's a lot of fun to do, and it could be part of the story you're telling. It could be an opportunity for a picture. Maybe it's a great sunset, last jump of the day, and there's a canopy, and you want to go chase it around and get behind, in front of it, and have them between the sun and you, and get a silhouette shot or something like that. Those are great to get. So again, go play with it. Now, what I like doing with it is, again, being able to get nice and close to him if I want to, and giving him room if I want to. There's no specific technique other than just know what you're doing. One other important thing, your subject, which is the canopy you're shooting or the couple of canopies you're shooting, are really not your most important place to pay attention to. Where is the most important place to pay attention to? Is everywhere else. Why? Because the tendency is to look at your subjects there and lose track of everywhere else in the sky. One of the most important techniques for survival and one of the important elements that some of the canopy courses these days show you is to know where everyone is. So if you're going to make the decision of going to chase somebody under canopy to go and get a picture, evaluate where everybody else is first, evaluate above you, below you, and then go ahead and go play. Once you know where everybody is, and you play for a few seconds, you got your shots, and you look around and see where everybody else is again. And now you keep track of everyone instead of losing track of 90% of the people in order to go into 10% of the people over here. And that's just never a good idea, because when you come out of there, now you've lost track of everybody else. And that's just common sense. The deployment. Okay, the deployment is very directly related to the canopy only because it's sort of where we start going from free fall to canopy just before we start shooting under canopy, whether it's shooting intentionally a canopy formation or whether it is that we're just coming out of a jump from free fall. So a lot of elements there are to speak of as far as the deployment are concerned. And so many people ask me what the proper deployment procedures are. And it's really one of these things that we're not going to address in this video as a specific technique on how to deploy or where your head should be or should you hang on to your helmet or not, because it is very, very complex and it is something that's best learned on a one-on-one, hire a coach, talk to somebody on a one-on-one scenario, get experience from different people and learn your own technique. But what I can tell you is that it is a critical moment and it is something that you want to learn to do slowly. And that's where, again, some of the recommendations on this video come into play, like one camera at a time, a little bit at a time. That way, all the surprises and all the learning as far as the deployment happen one step at a time and without the consequences of larger weight in case of an error. So that, once again, some of the recommendations from before that may have seemed like, oh, why would I want to do that if I can put two cameras? Now you get to see they play importance in other parts of it. So that's why I'm saying that you should do that. Generally speaking, I can give you a couple of tips of what I do. First of all, one of the things that I never do is I never like looking back at my deployment. It makes you awkward as far as body position, and it also puts your head in a position where you have a bigger burble just because your head